Hey y'all, I'm back and I have more creepy stories. If you guys didn't know, I had a birthday recently and one of my best friends, for my gift, got us a cabin in the woods for a night. And I already went, so it's fine, but it inspired me. So we're gonna read creepy camping stories. We didn't necessarily go camping at all actually, but why not scare ourselves? I was camping in Ohio by myself. I was on a third and final night there. Woke up to piss, walked about 10 feet from my hammock, and noticed a headlamp about 80 to 100 feet from me. I watched it for about 10 minutes. I watched him stand up, sit down. I got my boots on, grabbed my hatchet, and started to walk to the right of my campsite. I was gonna find out what he was up to. I got about 50 yards from my site and started walking towards him when I noticed another headlamp about 40 feet from me and walking around. I hit the ground and threw some leaves on me. He walked about 10 feet from where I was laying. Then he stopped, lit a cigarette and finished his beer, threw the can on the ground. After he got far enough that he couldn't hear me, I got up and started walking towards the first guy. I got close enough to him that I could hear his phone receiving messages. I moved up closer to him quietly to where I could see his face light up from his cell phone. That's when he stood up and started walking towards my hammock. I laid there on the ground for a minute and then made my way towards my site. I stopped when I started hearing my tarp that I had above my hammock being trashed. Then I see flashlights and my big flashlight turn on and off. I heard my mess kit being thrown and them talking about how he was just here. I laid on the ground and watched my flashlight walk away until it was a small dim light. When the sun came up, I returned and my whole site was destroyed. My hammock and tarp were shredded by what looked like a machete. My mess kit was stomped on. They took my backpack, rain gear, and flashlight. I went to the spot where I'd seen the first guy and found chew pouches, 8 empty beer cans, and an empty lighter. I walked to where I had seen the other guy and found an empty bag of powder, which turned out to be meth, a mess of cigarette butts, and a pile of shit with no toilet paper to be found. What were they gonna do? What the fuck were they gonna do? As a teenager, I went camping with a group of people I didn't know that well. They were all a little bit older than I was. I was 16 and they were 19 to 21. We camped way out in a very rarely used campground in rural Oregon. Planned on just 2 nights, but on the second day, the guy who drove us got into a fight with his girlfriend because he thought she was flirting with another guy in the group. He ended up leaving us stranded. We assumed he would come back or let other people know where we were and they would come get us, but it didn't happen that day. We went to bed sure he'd be back on that day since it was the last day we planned on being there. This was before cell phones were really a thing and we had no car and no way of communicating. We were at least 10 miles from any sort of normal road. That third night we really started freaking out. Our food was gone and we had no idea what to do. In the morning we were contemplating walking to the main road but couldn't agree on what to do. Luckily by mid-morning a family showed up to camp and they drove a few of us to the nearest little town and we were able to call and have people come and get us in our camping gear. I never spoke to any of them again. The fact that he left you there, I feel like, should he not be like charged? Like you guys could have quite literally died. I can't even imagine. Even if something like that were to have happened, like, I don't know, I guarantee you she wasn't flirting with anyone, but even if something like that were to be happening, I could never like strand. Oh my God, I can't even fathom that. This past weekend, me and my partner decided to go to our usual camping spot. It's very low key, never usually anyone up this mountain besides 1 or 2 people at a time, and even at that, they're miles away from our campground. It's not a well-known spot. This past weekend, just like every year, we brought my parents' little elderly dog. Set up camp, ate some food, drank some beer around the campsite. When we arrived prior to this, we had scoped out the area to see how busy it was. There was absolutely nobody in sight. The entire mountain campgrounds were entirely empty. We're used to having 1 hunter or fisher in the area at least. We've never not seen at least 1 person the entire trip. So we sat around the fire completely relaxed with the little dog nearby. When we decided to get into bed, my usually very complacent, placid pup refuses to settle inside the tent. It's pretty hot this time of year, so we had the tent unzipped with just the mesh covering the opening to let a breeze in. But my pup was looking through the mesh and sniffing, zoning in on something entirely. We decide to get up and check out the camp for whatever he's looking at. We don't see anything, so we decide to just sit by the fire. That's when my sleepy pup unsettles suddenly with his hackles straight up on... Sorry, Nara's playing with the scrunchie and it is so distracting and you can hear him, he's loud. He likes to throw the scrunchie in the air and then chase it and catch it and then sit on it for some reason. Yeah, this is weird. I'm gonna keep reading. When my sleepy pup unsettles suddenly with his hackles straight up on end, growling a deep growl into one direction of the woods. We decide to grab the hunting knife and axe and listen. He's snarling and barking vigorously, which took us by surprise because he's been completely comfortable every other year. After a few hours of him acting on high alert, we decide to flip the truck lights on to illuminate our camp and we're surrounded by darkness. We were listening intently, trying to figure out what he's seeing or hearing. After a few minutes, he lays down and alarms us again a few minutes later, startling us to the point we make a run for the truck by how aggressively my dog is warning us of something. We wait, hearts pounding inside the truck, trying to see what's out there. After 30 minutes, we assume whatever it is has passed on. After we reposition ourselves in front of the fire again, my dog's hackles are up and we hear the loudest tree branch snap a mere 10 feet away from us in the pitch black wilderness. Again, we hop in the truck with the dog and decide we better leave, as earlier that night we were hearing wolves hunting for a few hours and their howls echoing through the woods. Our main concern was it being a cougar, as they're commonly seen in this area and there had been a lot of attacks on unsuspecting victims. Our main thought was something was stalking us for a long time without moving on. We told my partner's parents that we decided it's better to be safe than sorry, and we were mocked extensively, but we were armed with very minimal weapons, not anything that would handle a mountain lion or a pack of wolves. We were called chicken shits the entire weekend and mocked over it. I also felt protective over my dog as he's very small. No, I think it's really smart that you left, because my first thought was that it was something paranormal, like an SW. I also don't think it's worth risking the little dog. The dog is fucking freaking out. I am going to listen to an animal every time. I camped by myself a couple years ago in May. I think it was Vauxhall State Park, Surrey. I was the only person camping, and around 11 p.m. it started to drizzle. I heard a large group of children singing somewhere in the campground. I never did see who it was or where they were. It was on a Sunday night also. It was very creepy. A choir of children singing. Oh, get me the fuck out. I used to like to go to my grandparents' property in the middle of nowhere by myself and just walk out into the woods and find a random spot and make that my camp for the night. My dad had told me that supposedly there had been an old farmstead nearby a very long time ago, but I'm not sure about the validity of that. One time, I had built myself a half-face brush shelter and slept through the night fairly well. It was early morning as the sun was just coming up and I had pulled the light blanket over my face. It was thin enough that I could see through it, and as I was starting to wake up, I saw what looked like two men standing outside my shelter, staring down at me. I could not make out faces, but they were wearing those old-time wide-brim hats. Not cowboy hats, but like the kind settlers wore. They didn't do anything but stand there like they were curious. I sort of woke all the way up and pulled the blanket down quick, and nobody was there. I'm sure it was a dream. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like the ghosts of the homestead or whatever the fuck you called it. Farmstead. Oh, okay. This is not necessarily scary at all, but we're okay. It would have to be last summer on my birthday camping trip with all my friends, and my ex gave me a cryptic birthday card foreshadowing him breaking up with me, and I read it in front of everyone, and the weekend got super awkward. Yeah, that's why I don't read cards out loud. To avoid situations like that. Not that I've ever even been broken up with via birthday card, but you never fucking know what people are gonna say. Camping in the natural caves after a day's hike while it rained cats and dogs outside. I had a choice of what cave to choose. Nar, please. I had a choice of what cave to choose, and I chose the largest one. The heavy wind would pass through the gaps and fissures in the rocks and cause howling, whistling, and shrieking sounds throughout the night. The wind was so angry that it would make the natural waterfalls flow up in the air and all over the place. Was given company by large mice and spiders. Could hear large crashes outside, but decided to stay put as I'd already been drenched multiple times that evening. Next morning, found out the entrance to the caves next to mine had been blocked by a landslide. You are so lucky. And I kind of read the end of that before I fully read it, and I thought yours got blocked, and I was like, that's too short. I need more details. I'm like, that is a miracle that you ended up being in the one cave that did not get blocked. But also the howling and whistling, oh, I'd be out. I'd be gone. I don't care. It sounds like a ghost. I'm gone. I don't know how to start this off, but it pretty much starts back when my dad died back in 2021. We used to own this property down in a little small town in West Virginia. I go down there for many reasons: deer hunting, fishing, and riding. I went down there to visit my dad's ashes because that's where he wanted to be cremated and set by the fire. Sorry, I can't stop giggling at Nar playing with this scrunchie. It's honestly insane, and I wish I could show you, but I think he'll stop if I turn the camera on him. Nar, he just gave me the scrunchie. I'm so sorry. Okay, I went down there to visit my dad's ashes because that's where he wanted to be cremated and set by the fire. I went to talk to his ashes, and instantly I felt something off. I felt like I was being watched, and I've never felt this before. I'm a very strong person that could lift very heavy weights, therefore I just never got scared of many things because I knew I had the strength advantage. Nothing too bad happened until later this night around 8 p.m. Get tucked into bed and leave around 1 p.m. the next day. I wake up to a tapping noise on the window on the somewhat screened door. From what it seemed, it looked like my dad's vase of ashes with his picture on it, and somebody was playing a very unfunny puppet play joke on me. I opened the door after looking through the foggy window to see absolutely nothing. Wait, so it looked like your dad's ashes were standing outside the door? Later that night, I went to bed after checking around. Keep in mind I'm by myself and it's around 12 a.m. I see that stupid same puppet play light show through the blurry window. But this time when I went up to the window, my dad's vase of ashes had a voice saying, "It's me, son, your dad." Only to see the vase sink to where I can't see it through the window. What the hell is going on? Because it got too low to see it, I only see a big black head with white eyes and a smile showing all of its teeth. It had very bad teeth, about 2 feet wide and 2 feet tall. I knew this thing was tall and after me. I went out there to let it know who it was messing with, only for me to walk out and see a 20 to 30 foot tall sized veiny creature. I instantly went back inside, locked the door, and called my friend to come to my exact location. It was gonna take him about 3 hours, including stops like gas and red lights. The monster stayed there all night through morning, tapping, saying my name, and telling me it's my dad. What the fuck? After my friend arrived, the monster was gone. We were able to pack up and leave around 5 a.m. We stopped at a small restaurant local to the town. I hear this 63-year-old woman and 70-year-old man talking about the same monster, and it haunted them, so I guess I wasn't the only one. It's 2024 now, and for 3 years I haven't stepped foot in that town, and that creature still haunts me and I still get nightmares about it. My girlfriend wants to go down there and see this place for the view, and I keep denying her to go. A quick question for my West Virginians: have you ever seen this monster? Remember the description in the story and please let me know. Yeah, and I thought I was just never gonna go camping. I'm never going to West Virginia, like, period. Oh my god. No, because it's already so horrible that your father passed away, and then for some weird demon monster, 20, 30 foot tall creature to be pretending to be your dad. Oh my god. Okay, and because, I mean, that one was insane, and I wish I could stop it there, but I'm gonna read one more. I was really young at the time, around 10, and I was on a school camping trip. It was me and a few others in my room, and we were joking around, talking about ghosts and all that stuff. After all the activities were done, we went back to the room and started talking about ghosts. We would say random stuff, and on the first night doing this, we had an empty bed that nobody used. After that night of talking about ghosts, we looked at the bed, and there was an imprint of a child laying down, so my friend went into the bathroom and locked the door. He started yelling and said he felt something touch his thigh. We tried to open the bathroom door, but it was still locked, and the lock fell onto the floor, and the door handle almost fell off. The curtain was moving and there was an imprint of a baby's hand on the mirror. Shut the fuck up! Keep in mind we're all about 10 or 11, so it wasn't ours. We were spooked and couldn't sleep. Then me and someone else in my room felt really sick, and we were boiling hot while the others were cold. The next day we did archery and all that jazz. Putting the phrase "all that jazz" in this story is cynical. Is that a word? Me and my friend, who was locked in the bathroom the night before, saw our room's curtain move and everyone was outside doing an activity and not a single person was allowed in. The year before all of this, I went on another camping trip and I had top bunk, and I swear on my life I saw a person watching us. Anyways, me and my friend were freaking out, so at lunch while everybody was eating and talking, me, him, and a few other friends snuck into my room and saw the child imprint was on all of our beds now. We closed the door and heard a scream from the room, so we bolted outside. No one noticed that we weren't there, so we snuck back into the group of people eating. Final night, how did you stay the whole time? Final night, around the time of us packing, we had a campfire outside and we were all sat around it, and I swear I saw someone in the distance by a river. By the way, this is in the middle of nowhere and there was no cell service. They were just watching us. We were told stories by the camp owner that some people had died near a lake that leads to a river, and he had pointed to the place I saw that person. I don't go camping anymore. I wouldn't either, and thank God we're done. Why did I read that one? I should have stopped. I should have stopped while I was ahead. Okay, that's all I have for now. I hope you enjoyed. I didn't. If you guys have any scary camping stories, oh God, I hate that I'm about to say this. If you have any creepy camping stories that you want to share with me or the community, I'll have my subreddit link down below. I literally feel like I have like chills. I like being out in the woods and like just being stranded, stuck, whatever the fuck, and there's a goat, like just thinking about it being haunted, no cell phone service, no way to escape, and you're also a kid on a school camping trip, so there really is no escape. And there's a ghost child in your bed. I can't, yeah, I'm not even gonna ramble at the end of this. I need to go I need to go do something. I need to go to church, I don't know. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.